Hello everyone. I'm a little late with the video this week. I was going to record yesterday, but I couldn't talk yesterday, so I'm recording today. And I'm gonna be. Why won't this move? Okay, that's fine. We're going to be talking about the research argument essay, which is the last essay that we are going to be writing for this class. And the rest of our time, except for 1 week, which we will talk about, and really you're still working on this essay too, because it'll be the week that you're peer reviewing. We'll be talking about your portfolio that week, but the rest of the class time is basically spent on this essay. So what we're doing this week is we're going to talk about, I'm going to show you a PowerPoint about what an argument research paper is, like what it entails. I'm going to show you the assignment sheet. I'm going to show you an outline for it. And we're going to talk about the rubric and these example essays here. And then I'm going to explain to you about the topic proposal. Okay, so let's get started and bear with me. I know I don't sound very good, so just bear with me. I may have to take some breaks or longer pauses because it hurts to talk. Okay. So, ignore the chapter numbers because that's in the old book that we were using. So, argument research paper. Every paper is really an argument, right? Because your thesis has to be arguable. So, this paper is still the same argumentative kind of paper, but it's got some research thrown in. In argumentation, I mean, at its core, it's super easy. We all have opinions. And in this paper, you get to argue your opinion and, state it like it's fact. But you can't use I or you, obviously. So some characteristic features of an argumentative essay is that you have to have an explicit position. So that means that you state your position without a doubt. Like you say, this is, for example, if you were writing about global warming, you could say, global warming is real. Okay, that's explicit. You're explicitly stating your position. You're saying it is real, no bones about it. And you have to be upfront with where you stand on your issue from the beginning. So your position on whatever the topic you pick is your thesis statement. So again, if you're writing about global warming, your thesis statement could be global warming is real. That would be a main idea thesis statement. Or you could do a more specific thesis statement and say global warming is real because of X, Y, and Z. And those are two possible thesis statements for a global warming essay. And I just talked about it right here. So for example, if you're writing about climate change being real, your thesis could be climate change is a real phenomenon that can be seen in weather patterns across the globe, the melting of the ice caps, and in other areas of scientific data. So then each of my body paragraphs would go on to give examples about each of those points. My position is clearly stated. So, and then in body paragraph number 1, I'm going to be talking about weather patterns across the globe. And 2, I'm going to be talking about the melting of the ice caps. And 3, I'm going to be talking about other areas of scientific data, whatever that may be. You also need to have a response to what others have said. So you remember in one of our very first lectures, I talked about how with everything you write, you're entering into a larger conversation. So you need to address people, articles, and others who disagree with you within your body paragraphs. So there are people who don't believe in climate change, right? So you would need to address some of that. So that's part of where the research comes in. And this can be as simple as saying, for the climate change, it could be as simple as saying, some scientists say that, climate change isn't real. However, 90% of scientists agree that blah, 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 blah. So it doesn't have to be anything big. You just have to acknowledge that there are people out there who do think differently. That's all you have to do for that. Background information. So this, we're not going to have any room for this in our paper. But in general, authors are expected to provide a great deal of background information to support their argument. Usually historical background, definitions, contextual knowledge. This is really big in like academic papers. You need to have some background in there. Okay, a clear indication of why this topic matters. Who cares? You have to answer that question. You have to tell me why this topic is important. Why should people be motivated to do anything about this topic or listen to you at all? That's going to be in your introduction. So you're going to, do I have an example? No. Okay. So you're going to have to, in your introduction, you're going to have to explicitly state your position and tell me why it matters. For example, if you were writing about global warming, you could say that global warming matters because, we all live on this planet and we have to learn to take care of it, blah, 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 right? So in your introduction, you have to tell me why this topic matters. And again, you can't use I or you. And the way you get out of using I is just state it like it's fact. No, I think, no, I believe, in my opinion, none of that. Just state it like it's fact. Because to you it is fact. And you're going to prove why you think it's fact. Okay, good reasons and evidence. This is where the research comes in, okay? The old book says positions are only as good as the reasons and evidence that support them. So part of every author's task in arguing a position is to provide the strongest possible reasons for the position and evidence for those reasons. So you're actually going to be, UAPTC provides you with a database, several databases, and you're going to be looking through some of those to find articles, academic papers, which talk about and help support your opinion and give facts and data and all that kinds of stuff. In other words, you have to back up what you say. You could be the most trustworthy person on the planet, but how will your readers know that? They won't. They can't know that. So back what you say up with data and proof. It's just like, we didn't write a compare-contrast essay, but this is just like what we did with the review essay. So you said, this thing is good, and here's why. That's what you're doing with this essay. Yep, data and proof. An authoritative tone. So you have to know what you're talking about and act like you know what you're talking about. You can't say things like I think or I believe. It weakens your argument. Say what you have to say like it's fact and then prove it. So we've talked about some of that. An appeal to the reader's values. This is ethos, pathos, and logos. We're going to talk about that more in depth maybe next week. But these are appeals to the reader. So research. In order to do good research, you have to find a topic that fascinates you. The last thing anyone wants to do is spend 4 or 5 weeks researching something they don't care about. Pick something that you like to talk about and that you have a strong opinion about. It's going to make writing so much easier. So really spend some time thinking about what you want to talk about. And I do have some topics that you can't talk about, and we'll get there. If you have several topics in mind, that's fine. Once you start narrowing down topics, it may become clear which is best. Opposing Viewpoints in Context is a great website to use, which is part of our database, and I'll show you how to use that next week. Narrow your topic. Sometimes topics are too broad. Sometimes topics are too narrow. Make sure your topic can be covered in the amount of pages given to you. In this case, it's actually 4 pages. So you have to talk about whatever this is for at least 4 pages. So make sure it's something broad enough that can be covered in that, but not so narrow that you only need 2 or 3 pages. So you couldn't tackle all of climate change in just 4 pages. However, you could talk about maybe changing weather patterns in the U.S. So that could be more feasible. So you just have to really make sure that, because climate change is such a huge, broad topic that, I mean, there have been books written about it. So that's not something you can cover in 4 pages. Plot out a working thesis as you're looking at your topic. Say, okay, this is this topic. This would be my thesis. And again, it's the argument. It's the whole point of your essay, and it should convey your stance to the reader. So now I have a section for questions. Of course, if you have questions, you can email me, text me. Let's see. I'm going to look at the assignment sheet next. So, must be an MLA format, of course. Must be at least 4 pages long, no more than 6. Can't use I, you, very, a lot of, or any other forbidden words. Have to have an italicized thesis statement. Thesis statement must be arguable and supported with ethos, pathos, or logos. Again, we'll talk about that later. Must have at least 3 reasons for your argument, so 3 body paragraphs, basically. And when I say reasons, I mean like support for your argument. And no more than 6 reasons, so no more than 6 body paragraphs. You must have at least 4 reputable sources. Again, we'll talk next week about how to use the databases. And you must use all of your sources. You can use them by just using the statistics or using quotes, but you have to use all 4 of them. Quotes should be 3 lines or less, and don't quote stack, which is don't put multiple quotes one right after the other. Have to have a works cited page and follow all the instructions. So what's due this week is the topic proposal, and that's due by Saturday. So all you have to do for this week, for this essay, is go to Blackboard, and it's down here at the bottom, and you have to go into this topic proposal discussion board and tell me what you want to talk about and why. You have to have 2 topics. Tell me which of those 2 topics you would rather write about and why that topic is important to you. Usually I'm going to let you talk about the topic you most want to talk about. Occasionally it's too narrow, but usually I'm just going to let you talk about whatever you want to talk about the most. But 2 topics, tell me why you want to talk about both of them, and I'll tell you which one you can write about. And then next week we're going to be dealing with the works cited page. Week after that we'll be doing the rough draft. After that is the peer review. And then your final draft is due Saturday, December 13th, which is, I think, the last day of the week, the last week of finals. Okay. You get to pick your own topic. Keep in mind your topic must be arguable and narrow enough that you can cover it in no more than 6 pages. Some things you can't write about. You can't write about abortion, gay marriage, marijuana, lowering the legal drinking age, or any other topic that I deem inappropriate or overdone. Usually the problem is that some of these topics are like abortion, lowering the legal drinking age, marijuana, gay marriage. They're usually way overdone, and I've read so many of those essays and I'm tired of it, so I want you to pick something different. You also can't write about climate change because that's the example that I've used throughout this. So those are kind of your parameters, but you can pick whatever you want to write about. Some essays that I've seen are like, should college athletes get paid? I've got some examples. One of them is Ghosts Are Real, I think, which is a pretty interesting essay. Yeah, this one is Ghosts Are Real, I believe. Do Ghosts Exist, I think is the title of the essay. Yeah, ghosts do exist. So she talks about that in that essay. And this one, I can't remember. Oh, violence linked to video games. And she uses I believe in here. No. But other than that, it's pretty well researched. So, at least that. But those are my 2 example essays. So you can read through those and kind of see where they're coming from on those. And how how to sort of format your essay. But good news, I also give you an outline. I was talking about topics though. So those are a couple of topics you can look at and explore. There's so many things you can talk about. It just depends on what you're passionate about, really. And if you're having trouble coming up with a topic, then send me an email or text me and we can talk about it and I'll help you sort of narrow it down. Now, back to what I was saying about the good news. I do have an outline for you. So, introduction, where you'll state your position about your topic. Body paragraphs need at least 3. Each body paragraph should cover 1 point about your topic and have evidence to support your topic. Everything in the body needs to come back to the thesis, and in the conclusion, you summarize your argument and restate why this is important. This is a good tool. This outline is a good tool for you to have. Now, you won't need it this week, obviously, because this week all you're doing is the topic proposal, but you will need it in a couple of weeks when we start writing. So, all that's due this week is to, of course, watch this video, and I would suggest that you read through these research argument essays and then to come up with 2 topics and post about them on this Blackboard on this discussion board. Once you do that, I will respond to you in the discussion board and tell you which topic you can choose. And again, that's due by Saturday. Let's see. I think that's everything. So yeah, that's all you got to do this week is come up with 2 topics and post about them. Tell me why you want to talk about them, why they're important, and which one you want to talk about more. If you have trouble figuring something out that you want to talk about, then send me an email or text me and we can chat about what you want to talk about, see where your passions are. And I think that's it. If you haven't turned in your review essay, you need to do so immediately. You lose 10 points per day that it is late. So, let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns, and I will talk to each of you soon, I'm sure.